Greetings, friend. I'll show you 5 championship Sudoku mistakes you need to avoid as I help you navigate all the gotchas in this round 1 puzzle. Plus, keep watching for a bonus tip that will drastically reduce your solve time. Click below if you want to give this puzzle a go. And with that, it's solving time. The first mistake you need to avoid is missing pointing pairs. You may notice if you click on the ones, you can't solve any ones right now. But if you look up here, looking at the twos, you might see that a 2 can be in one of these 3 cells in block 3. You think, oh, I can't really solve a 2 there. However, if you come down and notice that these 2's cut up column 8 and row 5, you only have 2 places for a 2 in block 6. This is called Snyder notation. Anytime in a 3x3 block, 2 possibilities for a candidate, mark it. Shows us restrictions, and in this case, these are a pointing pair. If we solve one, we can solve the other right away. But it also tells you a 2 can't be anywhere else outside of the block in that column. If you try to put a 2 up here in the blue cell, you have no place to put a 2 in block 6. So we can eliminate these 2 possibilities for a 2, and you can solve this cell now for a 2 using pointing pairs. And we're going to do it again with the 3's, but first let's make sure we get all of these Snyder 2's in this puzzle. I want to find all of those restrictions. There's a couple gotchas. This is going to help us minimize the gotchas that you're going to find here. And then with these 2's and these 2, Snyder 2's in block 8. Okay, let's do the same thing pointing pairs with the 3's. You might think you can't solve for 3 in block 9 because you see these 2 3's and you go, oh, 3 possibilities for 3 right there. However, come over here and notice in column 5 and row 8 that you only have 2 possibilities for 3 in block 8. These are a pointing pair, so those can't be a 3, and you can solve this cell now for a 3. It does a lot of cleanup this early in the puzzle, and just think of pointing pairs really as an extension of cross-hatching. I mean, this is just like it acts as 1 3 where these 2 3's are. And now with this 3, and this 3, and these 2 3's, you can solve for 3 here, and we can do a pointing pair again. This 3 coming up column 5, we have a pointing pair of 3's in block 2. How do I know it's pointing? Because you got Snyder plus 1. You only have 1 digit there. That means it can be a pointing pair, all right? And with this 3, the only place to put a 3 in block 1 is right there. We're going to remove this color, and we're going to move on a little bit more with the solving. You can look, and you may notice that with the 4's, really can't do anything with the 4's. There's only 1 5, nothing there. You can look at these 6's, no Snyders, no pointing pairs, 7's, so you're going to get kind of stuck here. I mean, we can do Snyder 7's here in block 2, but they're not a pointing pair. They don't help more than showing you that restriction. You can look at the 8's, really nothing there. And then with the 9's, you have Snyder 9's in block 6. And so you get kind of stuck. We went through all the candidates. Well, now what do you do? Now what do you do? Well, this is where mistake number 2 comes into place. So we just think all cross-hatching and these pointing pairs are going to help us solve. You got to take it and do a little switching here. Look here in row 7, column 3. Look at this cell right there. What can it be? And you're going to ask Timberlake, why did you pick this particular cell? And it's because it's the intersection of 2 heavy houses, I call them. So a house is a Sudoku row, column, or block. In this case, this row has 5 digits in it, 2, 3, 4, 7, and 8. But it also has 4 digits here in the column, an additional digit in the block. So there's a ton of digits looking at this cell. That's why I would pick and look at this one. I usually start with a heavy house. So a heavy house is any house that has 5 or more digits filled out. And then you can look and see what can this cell be. Well, it could possibly be a 1, but it can't be a 2, 3, or a 4, or a 5, or a 6, a 7, an 8, or a 9. So this is a naked single 1. And that's the big mistake, is not looking for naked singles. Because once you find a naked single, this is going to reduce a lot of your marking. You just don't want to mark unnecessarily if you don't have to. And once you put the 1 there, now you'll see that you've made column 3 a heavy house. Okay, now it has 5 digits, 1, 3, 5, 6, and 9. So what does that do for column 3? You might notice, which of these rows has a lot of digits in it to correlate with column 3. And row 3 seems to have the most, right? And so you have a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 8. We just need a 5, 6, 7, and a 9. And you see a 5, 6, and 9 right here. This is going to be a naked single 7. And so now we just solved that for a 7. And we're not done in column 3. Once you do that, you want to kind of look real quick back to the cross hatching. There's something a little bit easier here. And you may notice that you have a 2, 4, 8 remaining, but 2 can't be here, and it can't be here. This has to be your 2. And now we want to move on after solving that 2 and see what does that give us. Well, we made the Snyder 2, so we can displace the Snyder 2 and solve for 2 right there. And then you might get a little frustrated at this point. We thought, hey, your goal is to solve this puzzle as quickly as possible. And there's not an easy place to go from this point unless you notice what I'm about to show you. It would lead some to commit mistake number 3. And so what you have to look for is those heavy house restrictions. And now we saw an intersection like we did here in column 3 and row 7, or column 3 and row 3. How about comparing these two rows right here? Row 3 and row 7. What do you know similar about them? You might notice they both have the same 6 digits in them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, and an 8. They both need a 5, 6, and a 9. And this is going to lead up to the mistake number 3. You probably got stuck if you didn't see this. Since you have a 6 that sees both of these empty cells, those two cells can only be a 5 or a 9. That is a naked pair. What's different about this naked pair is that it's not in the same block. All right, it's not locked naked pair. It's one in block 3 and one in block 9. And this is going to be huge. And you can tell that this was made by a very good puzzle setter. I mean, think round 8 out of Germany. The person who made this puzzle is representing the entire country and having the best solvers in the world trying to solve it. And I'm going to show you something really cool here. Before I get to that, I want to hear from you. Did you find this 5-9 naked pair? Or did you use something else to get past this point of the puzzle? Drop in the comments. Let me know. Help us build the best Sudoku community on YouTube. It starts with your comments. I will answer you. But what's really cool about here is what ends up remaining in column 7. Well, you have the 1, 2, 3, 6, 7. You got the 5-9 naked pair. All that's left is a 4 and an 8. Okay? No big deal until you look back here on column 3 that we already worked on. You might notice that it also can only be a 4 and an 8. Like, all right, then what's the big deal? The big deal is look across row 5. This is beautiful. This setter put in 2 naked pairs that are a combination, because now you have a 4-8 across here, and you make row 5 heavy house, I call it. Now you can't have a 2, 3, 4, 8, or 9 in here. You can have a 1, 5, 6, and a 7. And this is going to lead me up to mistake number 4. And I'm going to get to that. Let's make sure that we have this marked correctly. This can't have a 1. This can't be a 7. And right here, this cannot be a 6 or a 7. So what is the big deal about this? By making a naked pair 4 and 8 here, you can eliminate all the other 4s and 8s across row 5. The setter wanted you to do this. And you can learn more about naked pairs and pointing pairs and the other top strategies in my Sudoku solving guide. Download for free from the pinned comment below. And so you eliminated extra 4s and 8s here. And you may not notice this because mistake number 4 is missing the impact of a candidate elimination. And I'm telling you, you won't be moving on if you don't see what I'm about to show you. Most candidate eliminations, you're trying to get to the point where you have called a one-step restriction. What I'm talking about is if you can just remove one more candidate from a cell, like you can remove the 4 from here or the 8, you can solve this cell, or one more candidate from a house, a row, column, or a block. We're going to forego here in column 5. Because of this 4, it can't be here. And now because of the 4-8, it can't be here. And because of this 4, it can't be here. You have to notice that you removed all the other 4s in column 5, and now you can solve this cell for a 4. You know that, and you're going to be able to move on. We still have my bonus tip and Mistake number 5. We are not out of the woods. You might get stuck again, but this is a beautiful solve because of that 4. Now you can solve this for an 8, that for a 4, this for an 8, and this for a 4. And let's just double down these 4s. What else can they give us? Go back to that crosshatching. With these 2 4s, that's got to be a 4 right there. And with these 2 4s and this 4, you can solve for a 4 in block 9. All right, and after doing all that, let's stay in row 8 because you just add a digit here. We have another heavy house. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You 6, 7, 8, or 9. You might notice 7, 8, 9 right here makes this a naked single 6. And then with the 7, 8 repeated, that's going to be a 9. These 2 8s, you can solve this for an 8 and solve this cell for a 7. Okay, made a lot of great progress there. What else can we do? And you can do is you can look at, it might be hard to kind of see where to go from here. So this is my bonus tip. So I'm going to give you an extra tip. And my tip to you is to minimize the marking. You want to be able to solve as much as possible and not try to put too many marks if you don't have to. So that's why cross-hatching is great. Like these 2 7s, put a 7 right there. If you don't have to put in Snyder marks, put Snyder marks. You don't have to fill in the rest of these cells, don't do that. In fact, you might notice that we already looked at this row. We knew it can only be a 5, 6, or 9. And since you got a 6 and 9 right there, this has to be a 5 now. Okay? And then that's a 5. That's going to be a 9. And this is going to be a 6. All right. And this is leading you up to mistake number 5. So we minimized marking. Didn't have to put the naked triple in there. And we know with this 9 now, you can solve this cell for a 5. And this is going to leave you with a 6, 9. Right there, 9, 6, right here, which you can displace that 9 or 9 and solve this cell for a 9 because this naked pair acts as a pointing pair. 9 can't be anywhere else along column 9. And this is going to bring us up to mistake number 5. You want to remember some information as you're making these marks because the biggest mistake is to forget the deductions you already make. If you can remember one-step restrictions, hey, if I get one more solve, I can make more progress in the puzzle. You're going to be able to solve the cells in the puzzle much quicker. Let's look here in column 8. All you need left is a 5 and a 6. And because of this 6, that's going to be your 6, and that's going to be your 5. And now we can solve this cell for a 5. And because of these 5s, you can now do some marking. The more marking you can eliminate, like you have this 1 and 5 here, means we can solve that for a 6 and do the 9, 6, 9. And the more cleanup you do, the less clutter you're going to have on this grid. Clutter is not a good thing. I will put pairs like this on occasion because I know once I solve one of these cells, it's going to be pretty quick to solve the rest. And then with this 1, 6, 3, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9, this is now just a 5, 7. And so this 5, 7 naked pair also acts as a claim pair. 5, 7 cannot be anywhere else in block 4. So this cell right here, all that's left is a 1, 2, 4, and a 6. Well, you got a 1, 4, and a 6. This has got to be your 2, right? Because the 5 and 7 are one of these spots right there. Displace this Snyder 2 and solve this cell for a 2. And then we can continue doing some solves with the 2, right? Because with this 2 right here, that's going to be a 2, and that's going to be an 8. And this 8 and this 8, you can solve this cell for an 8 now. And then you might notice that with these 2 8s, we just need a 1 and 8 up here. Got my 1 right there. So there's your 1, and there's your 8. And just kind of follow the digits you just solved. With these 8s, there's an 8 right there. My goal right now is to try to disambiguate these naked pairs and some of these Snyder marks because I know that's where the restrictions are remaining in the puzzle. This is going to be a 5, 9 to finish block 1. Well, because of the 9 right there, that's a 9, that's a 5. And I like solving those because I know now I can disambiguate the 7, 9 right there and the 5, 7 right there. You see how you get a nice clean grid that way? With this 7, you can displace that Snyder 7. Solve this cell for a 7. You got a full house. You want to finish this up with your 5. And with this 5, we know we can solve this cell for a 5. Now we just need a 1 and a 4. And I pull a 4 from another block? I sure can. That 4 is going to tell me you got a 4 here and a 1 right there. And with this 1, Solve this cell for a 1, finishing up column 1 or row 4, however you want to see it, with a 4. And you should stay right here and just kind of finish up the rest of that block. That's going to be the easiest for you. You need a 1 and 3 down here. I'm going to pull that 1 down from block 5. So here's your 1. Here's your 3, displacing this 9 and 3. So you can solve that cell for a 3. And our last digit is a 6. Now see how quickly you can solve this other Sudoku Grand Prix Puzzle 1. Thank you so much for watching.